Imagine that tomorrow your world disappears. Not slowly, not gradually, but in a single day. Cities sink beneath the water, the sky goes dark, and everything you know stops existing. And the most terrifying part, thousands of years later, no one will even be sure you ever existed. No memory, no proof, just silence. This is what may have happened to Atlantis. This is not just a legend. This is the story of a civilization that reached its absolute peak and vanished at the exact moment it believed it was untouchable. Now imagine something else. What if this has already happened before? More than once? And what if it is not a question of if, but when it happens again? This is not a story about ruins. This is a story about erasure. Total, complete erasure, without a trace, without warning, without a second chance. Atlantis, a city no one has seen, yet one that refuses to disappear from human memory. A place that feels less like a myth, and more like something we almost remember. The sun rises over an endless ocean. The surface is calm, almost too calm, like a mirror hiding something beneath it. The mist slowly pulls away, and through it, a shape begins to emerge. An island, but not a natural one. Not random, not chaotic. Every line is intentional, every curve precise. Rings of land and water expand outward in perfect symmetry, like a design too exact to be accidental. This is not nature. This is control. Canals cut through the island like veins in a living organism. Water flows exactly where it is meant to. Ships glide across the surface without resistance, guided by something more than wind or current. There is no noise of disorder, no sign of struggle. Everything works. Everything functions. Everything is under control. At the center rises the city. Not built, engineered. Towers of white stone reflect the sunlight so intensely they almost glow. Metals unknown to the ancient world shimmer across walls and structures. Gold is everywhere, but it does not feel like decoration. It feels like dominance. And above it all stands the temple. Massive. Perfectly aligned with the sky and sea. Inside, a towering figure watches over the civilization. Poseidon. Not as a symbol, but as a presence, a reminder of who gave them power, and who could take it away. The city breathes with life, markets pulse with movement. Voices overlap in dozens of languages. Goods arrive from lands far beyond the horizon. Rare materials, strange plants, animals no one else has seen. Atlantis is not part of the world. It is the center of it. Its people do not think like others. They do not fear nature. They do not adapt to it. They reshape it. Engineers redirect water, reshape land, build systems that seem to predict the future. Their knowledge feels ahead of its time, almost unnatural. And slowly, without anyone noticing, something changes. Not in the world, in them. Confidence becomes certainty. Certainty becomes arrogance, and arrogance becomes blindness. The first warning is silence. Birds stop flying over the island. The sea changes its rhythm. Fish disappear into deeper darkness. The air feels heavier, harder to breathe. Animals sense it long before humans do. But the city does not stop, because power does not listen. The ground trembles, light at first, easy to ignore. Then again, stronger. Buildings hold. Systems continue. Life goes on, because it always has, until it doesn't. A sound rises from below. Not loud at first, but deep. Too deep. It is not something heard with the ears, but felt through the body, a vibration that moves through stone, through water, through bone. The earth is shifting. Cracks appear beneath the city. Thin lines at first, spreading silently under streets and temples. Water in the canals begins to move against its own flow. Then it starts to boil. Steam rises in thick clouds, covering the sky. Panic begins. Not everywhere. Not yet, but enough. Then everything happens at once. The ground splits open. Entire sections of the city collapse inward. Towers that stood for centuries fall in seconds. Fire erupts from beneath the surface, tearing through streets, consuming everything in its path. The sky turns black, swallowing the sun. Day becomes night, and still, it gets worse. Rain begins to fall. Thick, heavy, burning. It eats through surfaces, poisons water, destroys crops instantly. The systems that once controlled nature begin to fail. One by one, control is gone. For the first time, Atlantis is helpless. Then the ocean moves. At first, it retreats. Slowly. Then faster. Faster than anyone has ever seen. The shoreline pulls back, revealing the ocean floor. Ships collapse onto the exposed ground. People follow the water, confused, drawn toward the impossible sight. And then someone sees it. Far away. A line. Too straight to be natural, too large to understand. It grows, rises, expands across the horizon until it blocks the sky. A wall of water. Higher than any structure ever built, moving faster than anything on land. There is no escape. There is no time. The wave strikes. It erases the outer rings instantly. The force is beyond anything the city was built to withstand. Water crashes through canals, turning the very system that once sustained Atlantis into its destruction. Buildings are torn from their foundations. Ships are thrown into the air like fragments. The temple stands for a moment longer than the rest, and then it disappears. Pulled into the depths, the city collapses inward as the ground beneath it gives way. Layer after layer sinks. Structures vanish. Light fades beneath the surface. Sound disappears into silence. And then, nothing. The ocean closes. Flat, calm, endless, as if Atlantis never existed. Days pass. The sky clears. Ash settles. The water returns to its natural rhythm. Waves move as they always have. But something is missing. An entire world. Gone. No survivors to tell the story. No ruins visible from the surface. No trace large enough to prove it was ever real. Only fragments. Stories. Whispers carried through generations. And a question that refuses to disappear. What if this was not the first time? Because history is not as complete as we believe. Civilizations rise. Civilizations fall. But some vanish so completely that they become myth. And myths are dangerous, because they hide truth inside disbelief. Maybe Atlantis was not just a place. Maybe it was a pattern. A cycle. A moment when a civilization reaches its peak and stops adapting, stops questioning, stops fearing. And that is when everything changes. Because the world does not care how advanced you are. It does not care how powerful you become. It does not negotiate. It shifts. And when it does, only those who can change with it survive. The Atlanteans could not. And that is why they disappeared. Not because they were weak, but because they believed they were beyond collapse. And if that is true, then Atlantis is not a story about the past. It is a warning about the future.